Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I've got a really fantastic guest today, Eric McHugh. He's the Chief Growth Officer and founder at ShopX Labs. We're going to find out all about the work he's doing, and he's got a really interesting story. He's got an IQ of over 40. He's got chess and so many different interests, and I'm happy to welcome him to the show. It's going to be a fantastic conversation. So, Eric, welcome.
Thanks, Chris. I'm really looking forward to being here, man.
Yeah, I really enjoy networking and connecting with individuals such as yourself and kind of on the cutting edge of thought leadership. And so, kind of set the stage, your background, what you do, and we'll dive right into the convo.
Very nice to meet everyone. My name is Eric. I'm 30 years old. I'm blessed to be living in beautiful Southern California right now. My main hobbies are chess, Muay Thai, reading, anything under the sun, meditation. I just got back from a 10-day meditation Vipassana retreat in Noble Silence in Joshua Tree. That's a highly transformative experience. I recommend everyone check it out. In terms of schooling and work experience, I went to the University of California, Irvine. During that time, I interned in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol as a government affairs consulting intern. And I also interned as a project manager in Barcelona. My first real job, as well as I helped my brother do some dark matter research at Carnegie Mellon. So that's pretty fun, honestly, not gonna lie. In terms of first real job, my first real job out of college was at Snap Inc. And I was helping optimize their ad algorithm to make that sticky. The reason I chose that position in particular is if you're from California or if you're not, there's a place called Venice Beach. It's a tourist attraction. So their campus is situated in the sense it's not one big building. They bought a bunch of different houses along Venice Beach. So you would jump around to different houses and work with different groups of people on different projects. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I also joined a month prior to their IPO because I wanted to see what it was like from like a company culture perspective if going through that whole experience, which was honestly a blast. So that was fun.
Yeah.
After that ended, I decided to get like a full 9 to 5, just cool sounding job. And so that's where I ended up as a bankruptcy consultant for Fortune 500 companies, such as like Washington Mutual. So in long story short, what that is when a company goes like a large company goes bankrupt, there's a lot of debt they have to divide up amongst just everyone else. And the consultants, lawyers, and court all work together in tandem to get that divided up. And at that point in time, I started my cryptocurrency journey. So I was just researching Bitcoin. I think it was like 2016. I was like read the white paper, every single podcast, like Saifedean, Steph Levere, Andreas Antonopoulos, Richard Hart. I would listen to as much content as I could. Shout out Caitlin Long. So during that time, I was really getting into Bitcoin. Me and my friends one's at Coinbase, one's at Kraken. We had a text group where we'd send each other like tweets, interviews just to listen to. We were learning as much as possible. So that the whole ethos of Bitcoin, meaning no rent seeking, it didn't really go well with my consulting job because essentially as a consultant, I was paid by the hour by the firm. So and then they would bill out the company, which is the client. So in turn, I was taking longer than I should have in the sense like I would do Excel work. I check it twice, 3 times because if I were billing out to the firm, they're billing out to the client. They were happy. But unfortunately, in that situation, we were really just kind of taking money from the mom and pop who kind of earned that bankruptcy money. And to give your listeners a structure on like a bankruptcy, there are different tiers of creditors, meaning like people get the money first, second, third, fourth. And obviously the little guy is always the last to get paid. So that didn't really align with the Bitcoin ethos. So I decided to wait till my bonus. I quit without not a plan or anything because I'm just like, okay, cryptocurrency is the space I want to be in. Started going to cryptocurrency meetups in my local area. I attended one hosted by Crypto Wendy O in Long Beach. I think she's like the most famous female influencer in crypto, whatever that means. I don't know, but it was her event. I met the original ShopX team. And then from there, we started so ShopX has been going on for a while, but we started a SaaS platform as well. It was called Paul and Lee CartRev. What that did is it replaced affiliate codes for e-commerce brands. So if you're an e-commerce brand, you're on Shopify, you can download our app, then you can upload our products to a large database, and then any user on the app can add any product they want to a singular link. So for example, if I like this Nike shoe, Adidas shirt, Reebok, shorts, I could add them all to a link, and then you, as my friend, you can purchase from that link in less than 4 clicks, and we kept it native to Instagram, so that really increased conversions. At its peak, that had over 100 different Shopify stores using that, and that all ties back into ShopX because, of course, learning to deal with Web2 brands and like the whole SaaS platform model really just it was a great learning experience. So when you think of ShopX, ShopX is one of the projects I'm working on. The other is Dating. That's Dataing. And just to give that a quick shout out, that's an AI powered matchmaker. So when our app goes live, you can just link your Instagram, Spotify, and then it'll scan your data and find you a perfect match based on your data versus just look. So if you wanted to hypothetically be like, hey, find me a match within 20 miles who has an engineering degree, who has less than 1,000 followers on Instagram, is active, close to their family, it can find all that for you. So the goal is obviously to match as many people with as many like-minded individuals as possible. So that launches soon. But anyway, ShopX is I want you to think of the Google or Apple Web3. Long term, we're going to be a suite of products for a brand to just download an app and then interact within Web3 and gain Web3 benefits.
Yeah.
The first product we have live right now, or we have 2 products live. Their flagship product is ReserveX, and that's our NFT powered loyalty program. So if you're a brand, you're on Shopify, you're on WooCommerce, you can download our app, and then directly within the app, within less than 5 minutes, you can deploy your own smart contract with no technical help. So to deploy your own smart contract, all you would need is a image, a description, a price for your NFT pass. You can deploy your NFT pass and then add e-commerce benefits to your NFT pass. So let's say hypothetically Nike were to launch a gold tier pass for the like a gold tier loyalty program for the users. The owners of their Nike Gold Tier Pass can get early access to products, get early access to discounts, and get just exclusive benefits from the brands. That's a way to create a new relationship between the brand and the customer, and thus increasing loyalty, increasing customer lifetime value, lowering the customer acquisition costs. It does a bunch of things. Yeah. So from there, the customer purchases the pass, they get the e-commerce benefits, and as a brand deploying the pass, you have control over 95% of the funds. So if it's a $100 pass, you get 95. So if you're working with like an agency or an influencer, you can program within the smart contract, they get paid out. ShopX earns our revenue from the 5%, so we would earn $5. And this is a perfect segue into our secondary product, which is SquadX. So that's the first ever blockchain-based ambassador program. So I want you to think of like Twitter, the Twitter creator program, where Twitter pays its creators from their ad revenue in USD. So as ShopX earns ad revenue from earns revenue from ReserveX, so that 5%, we split half of that, so 2.5% amongst our SquadX members for helping our ecosystem grow. So hopefully the goal behind that is A, it's obviously much better to give than receive. It's a good feeling. But B, it also creates an upward spiral in the sense as ShopX gets more and more brands, our community gets rewarded or gets paid more and more ETH, thus creating more and more hype, more social posts, more attention around that. They post more, getting more and more brands, and then more and more ETH, and it creates a nice little everyone win type of deal.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting intro because you laid out so many talking points. I didn't want to interrupt you. It's so interesting, like the tech founder's journey is so interesting. It's like the smartest kids and they work for some of the best companies, and then they kind of have this very ethos where it's like the world is your oyster, and you go out and you work on these great projects, and you change the world, which I see you doing, and it's so fascinating. And we'll talk about Bitcoin. And the thing is, like with crypto, it's like you have the scammers and the fraudsters of 2022, but then you have actually people that are innovating, like for example the Coinbases and Kraken. And as a side note, I went to undergrad with Brian Armstrong, so that's how I got involved into Bitcoin and Ethereum. So we share some of the same kind of which is interesting. So one thing, you mentioned crypto, and again, this is not a podcast for financial advice. We're just talking about the newest cutting edge ideas. But then like the term crypto has been bastardized by the media and it's associated with like, Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and all these guys. And then, so kind of talk about the difference between crypto, Bitcoin, and mass adoption powered by e-commerce. It's really interesting.
Yeah. And to touch on your point, the media, the bane of my existence is explaining like Web3 to Web2 brand, and they're like, well, isn't 95% of crypto scam? And it's like, well, yeah, but this is different. So to solve that issue, we've differentiated the term NFT with the NFT, and ENFT is a ShopX exclusive, and it's a NFT with e-commerce value. So the value comes from the e-commerce benefit that comes with NFT. For example, if like a brand were to launch an NFT, link a product to that, your users would buy the NFT for the product versus like the hype around that. Before we dive into crypto, I think it's important to just for your listeners, the difference between the different webs. So I can do that succinctly. I would say Web 1 is read only, meaning we can read content on the internet, but we can't really create it. Web 2 is you can read and you can write. So think of Instagram, think of YouTube, think of Facebook, think of like Twitter, where it's like either of us could create content, either of us could read each other's created content, but we don't own the content. The platform owns the content, and we're starting to see all the issues that come with that, whether it's like Facebook selling your data to literally everyone, or people getting canceled left and right for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Web 3 is read, write, and own. So in Web 3, we can create a content, we can read each other's content, and then but we also own the content. So there's no way for someone to really take that away from you. And I think that's very important. And so in terms of general crypto, to go back to your original question, the reason I got into crypto is I would like to live a nice, peaceful life. I can't do that if I view the money system as corrupt, which I think most of your listeners would view that as. And at the time, I saw Bitcoin as a solution. So I started, in full transparency, I started as a Bitcoin maxi. I was like part of that crowd.
Yeah.
And so rather than onboard my family at everything, well, Thanksgiving is coming up. So rather than like Thanksgiving table, just onboard them into Bitcoin slowly but surely. Yeah. I've used ShopX as a great way to leverage that at scale. So for example, in our flagship launch with the Mag Park, over 50% of the new Mag Park pass holders, and again, we've used the term pass holders instead of NFT holders just because a lot of people are Web 2 and the market is associated with SPF and stuff like that. So it's just easier for them to digest like a reserve pass. Yeah. So over 50% of the users who purchased the initial Mag Park pass were 100% brand new to crypto, meaning they've never had Ethereum before. And this wasn't like a cheap pass. At the time, it was 0.75 ETH. Yeah. I know to us crypto degens, that's like nothing, but imagine you're just like a kid who's never even had Ethereum before. You're forking over like hundreds of dollars for an NFT pass. But yeah, so over 50% of those users were 100% brand new to crypto. And the thing is, they wanted the pass, so the incentives were right for them to actually download the pass. So once they download the pass, they're forced to interact with it. They volunteered to interact with the system, and that has the potential to create a 0 to 1 for a lot of people. So imagine like Mag Park is fantastic. They're a mid-sized brand in LA. The guy's a homie. It's like a family type shop where it's like his customers are his family. They have a basketball court in the store for crying out loud, and like so it's that type of vibe. But imagine like a Nike or like a Fox Studios, which ShopX is working with, just onboarding those users at scale. Big issue for me right now, or at least for crypto, is like the user interface is pretty. It's been, I think you've been in the space for a while. It's pretty terrible. Like imagine telling your grandma she has to bridge something to get her money back. The money doesn't show up, and she's like, "Well, grandma, check Reddit for this one particular issue," and then you have to scroll through that. So usability has been I guess the biggest roadblock, and the second roadblock is incentive. Like again, back to my grandma, back to my mom. They have no real reason to interact with Web3 or crypto because they're not even thinking about it. They're just kind of like going to work, I'm doing a thing, and they're just like, okay, crypto, what is that? With e-commerce, if you can attach e-commerce utility to each individual NFT, then there's a reason for them to interact within the space. And obviously long term, we want to make it so it's as simple as possible for the user. I mean, like my mom should be able to purchase a Sephora Reserve Pass or NFT and just claim the e-commerce benefits without even knowing she's working with NFT, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm going to ask you about, basically whether you think mass adoption will be through gaming or e-commerce, but there's so many different, for example, I think that digital assets, blockchain, Web3, these are really high thing. You have to have a really technical background, like how to use Web3 wallets, how to transfer funds, private keys. And so I never tell my friends or colleagues about this because they can get themselves into trouble. They can get hacked and, get their funds stolen. So I just keep it on the down low, and, they can continue to invest in stocks or whatnot. But, it's really interesting how you're talking about achieving network effects and mass adoption. So kind of one thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you think? I have to ask all tech founders this is, what do you think AI plays itself? Because now it's inserting itself more into the conversation every day. There was this fiasco with Sam Altman at OpenAI.
Oh,
So talk more about that.
Yeah, that's been for your listeners. This past weekend, like the board ousted the CEO of OpenAI, the largest AI company. And then now, and yeah, so it's been a whole shebang for that. I think the end result is the Microsoft CEO basically brought on Sam and his co-founder to the Microsoft project. So effectively accomplishing an acqui-hire. An acqui-hire is buying a company for the talent versus the services themselves. So now Microsoft has Sam and his co-founder.
Yeah.
The majority of the OpenAI company, they're threatening to leave with them, so they'll probably go there as well. And not only that, is since Microsoft is involved with OpenAI, and again, don't quote me on this, I'm not like a lawyer or anything, but they also have access to some of their software. So I think Microsoft walked away as the big winner. In terms of AI, to me, all technology is it's completely neutral. Blockchain as well. Whereas, however people want to use it, it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I view AI as a beautiful way to connect people. That's why we're so passionate about the dating app, because if you're on dating apps, to be honest, they're crap. And the reason is the top 5% get access to everyone. No one else gets anyone, and it's all physical based, meaning you look at one picture, swipe left, swipe right. Where this, you can match people based on actual interests. And as that app gets more and more users, it'll get smarter and smarter and better at matchmaking. So that's gonna be fun to watch. But in terms of general AI, I just view it as a tool to be leveraged. Like, for example, I know some of the best coders I know, they're cranking out code like no other using it. So I think it's going to be a tool to leverage. I can personally produce tons of content using AI, just test out a bunch of things. So you can do that at scale. I know friends are creating AI agencies where the agencies are all model based. So if you pair that with like the AI based content and pair that with like a ChatGPT function, it's just going to scale the talented. And I know you're a doctor. Imagine this, like the top surgeons in the world, they can work remotely through robots from like I could be in LA getting brain surgery and you could be in Thailand doing the surgery, but you can control remotely with AI. So I think it'll scale the top users, but I think hopefully it's overall a benefit to society, but I suppose we'll find out.
It's, we're kind of in this period where it's like we're just getting started with business cycle. The economic is like, it's going to be really, I think 2024, 2025 are going to be really exciting.
Especially with that Bitcoin having coming up too. So it's all like the perfect storm for just like, no one knows what's going to happen, but there'll be fireworks, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be, really, like I said, we can talk, for hours, and we may have you on as a webinar. Kind of talk to people about how they can follow you. And what I find really interesting is because, like the dating is like, it's so hard. Like, people struggle with loneliness and, they have to go on like spend thousands of dollars, go on like hundreds of dates and, everything, it doesn't work out. And, people still end up lonely. And so I think, this area where you can use algorithms to, fine tune and better match. It's almost like a Airbnb or Uber, all these things, which would be really interesting. How can people follow you, check out your website, check out your work, and follow you on social?
Yeah, so I think social media is the best place if you want to learn about more about ShopX or dating is our website. So ShopX, ShopX.co, and Dataing is DATAING.io, and we'll have those in the show notes. In terms of social media, ShopX Instagram and Twitter is ShopX Labs. My Instagram is Eric McHugh0. My Twitter is Eric McHugh0. My Instagram is Eric D. McHugh. So those are great places. I'm happy to discuss either. If you have any questions about AI, or any of the listeners have any questions about either AI or Web3, Just shoot me an email at eric@shopx.co for Web3, eric@dating.io for AI. And then I personally love onboarding people in technology, so I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But I think those would be great spots. Just like website, then socials is usually a great bet.
Yeah. Fascinating conversation. And, it's very rare that I get the opportunity to talk to, founders. You actually remind me of Jack Dorsey, just like his path and, all the work. All of Eric's resources will be in the links and show notes. Be sure to follow him, give him a like, thumbs up, check out all his websites. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Yeah, dude, Chris, thank you so much for having me. And I hope all of your listeners have a wonderful life.